This video we're going to talk about the Doom of Valyria and what caused it. So by now you know the Doom of Valyria is the name of the cataclysm of unspecified nature that caused the collapse of the Valyrian freehold. So where the Targaryens came from, where the dragons came from, and where the Dragon Lords came from. Prior to the Doom, Valyria had been prospering for 5,000 years. It occurred approximately a century before the Targaryens' conquest of Westeros. The Targaryens were only spared because Daenerys the Dreamer had a dream that the Doom would happen 12 years before it happened, and they moved to Dragonstone. So first off, you should know that the freehold of Valyria was built on the land that contained great volcanic mountains called the 14 Flames. This lava and flames even wove through the city, as you can see here. The only thing that kept it in check was the magic that the Valyrians used. If they didn't use the magic, the flames would overtake the city and the lava would just flow, and then eruptions would happen and devastation. So what exactly did cause the Doom of Valyria? Well, no one knows for sure, but there are 4 main theories: natural, gods, magic, and assassination. So number 1, natural. Some believe it was simply a natural catastrophe with all 14 flames erupting together. So we've seen this even, in our world where a big volcano erupts and it causes devastation and has destroyed entire cities. So it's not too far-fetched to believe that, okay, the huge volcanic mountains just erupted, the 14 flames, erupted together, and it was just a simple, terrible catastrophe. Number 2, gods. Some septons believe that the Valyrians believe in hundreds of gods, so they believed in 100+ gods, and they were incredibly greedy, and they think that this caused them to dwell too deep and unleash the fires of the 7 hells on the freehold. The Valyrians were constantly getting slaves from Essos to dig further and further under the volcanic mountains and the mountains for all the treasures and gold and everything there. So they think that they went too far, and finally the gods punished them. Magic. Others say that over time the Valyrian mages' magic simply faltered and they could no longer keep the integrity of their spells. These spells were maintained for thousands of years via the Valyrian mages. It's not hard to imagine that one day they just falter, even a little bit, and the flames become unchecked. Give something long enough and there's bound to be a mistake made. So, over time, maybe the mages' spells get weaker, or the families do, or they get arrogant and they don't maintain it as well, and boom, the volcanic mountains aren't in check, and then we have the Doom happen. 4, assassination. This is the juiciest theory. So, it's about the assassination of the mages that kept the flames in check until there weren't enough mages to keep the fires tamed. There are a couple things that could have gone on here. We know the Valyrian families fought for power amongst each other. This was very bitter and went on for a long time. For most of the time, there was balance. So here are 2 main theories on the assassination bit. The people of Essos were sick of the Valyrians taking slaves and resources and wanted them taken care of. The Valyrian and the Valyrian families constantly trying to get more power and wealth were constantly taking slaves to dig and get more gold and taking resources, and finally the people of Essos could have been like, you want to know what, we're done, F you, we're taking care of this. An assassination guild was called in, or maybe the Faceless Men, and boom, you got some dead mages, integrity of the spells, isn't there, and then we call it the Doom of Valyria. The second assassination theory is a little bit more interesting and maybe a little bit more tinfoil hat. In my Lannister video, I mentioned a prophecy that the gold from Casterly Rock, so the Westerlands where the Lannisters rule, would cause the Doom of Valyria. This prophecy supposedly was so feared that the Valyrians never went to the Westerlands to take the gold and resources that the Lannisters had. Keep in mind, these people took slaves and resources from everywhere. They really wanted, they were very greedy. So the fact that they were so scared by this prophecy to even go to the Westerlands says something. Well, we know that the Lannisters paid a lot of gold to a Valyrian to buy a Valyrian sword from them, called Brightroar. It is said the amount of gold the Lannisters gave the maker was enough to buy an army. So they paid a lot of gold for this single sword. That's how bad they wanted it. Now think about that. families of Valeria are fighting for power, and then all of a sudden one family has enough gold to buy an army, or maybe for some people to be taken care of. What if that one family that got the gold started getting mages of other families killed? However, they didn't foresee this causing the Doom of Valyria because in their arrogance they thought the remaining mages could take care of the flames. Another tinfoil kind of hat theory is that the Targaryens themselves knew about this prophecy and wanted to be the only Dragon Lords because the Targaryens at the time weren't actually the most powerful family. They were far from it. And even when they went to Dragonstone, the reason why they weren't followed or anything, or it was suspicious, is because people thought that they were just being cowards and they were pathetic and they were too weak and they couldn't fight with the other great houses, so of course they went somewhere else. They didn't want to be in between it because they were scared. So no one followed them. So there is kind of maybe this theory that the Targaryens knew of this prophecy, purposely, did the exchange, got the gold, maybe gave it to some people to take care of some mages, and the Doom of Valyria happened, leaving them the only Dragon Lords and free to do what they want. That's kind of a far theory, but kind of neat to think about. So despite what caused it, the Doom of Valyria was terrible to behold. The mighty Freehold, the greatest civilization so far, was destroyed in hours. Every hill for 500 miles split to fill the air with ash and smoke and fire. Even the dragons could not escape and were consumed. Lakes boiled or turned to acid, mountains burst, fiery fountains spewed molten rock 1,000 feet in the air. Great rents opened and swallowed palaces, temples, and entire towns whole. All the Dragon Lords and the dragons and the sorcery and the magic of Valyria was lost. Save the Targaryens and their dragon. If you were to go to Valyria now, it's a very dangerous journey. It is said that few survive a journey to the ruins of Valyria. The very sea is said to smoke and boil, and the land is supposedly overrun with demons. Tommen II, a Lannister, went there to try to recover the sorcery and wealth, and he never returned, and no one has any idea what happened to him. It is said that any sailor or any person who glimpses the fiery mountains of Valyria will die a dreadful death. So those are my thoughts on the Doom of Valyria and what exactly caused it. You can write your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and come back for more geeky videos every day.